What's up everybody, Sam Smyers here. Today I want to show you how to make the bass and lead to Cash Out by Sidepiece. And if you didn't grab these presets to these sounds, you can grab them in my Patreon. Now before we get started today, please go ahead and give this video a like, and also please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. So that is the bass and the lead to the song. Let's start with the lead. The lead is really simple. This init preset in Serum has been getting a lot of use lately. This is just the saw wave lead sound that Odd Mob has been using a lot in his like upbeat bass style of tech house, and then you can hear it in this song Cash Out. So here is the melody. Pretty simple with that melody. And then for the reverb, I'm using the Valhalla Vintage Verb reverb. I just feel like it's a nicer reverb than using the Serum one. I'll try to get the reverb to sound good on the Serum one, and if I can't, then I'll head over to using this Vintage Verb reverb. So this is what I've got in Serum. This is the voicings on mono just because it is a lead sound. Envelope 1 didn't really adjust that. Default shapes, this is the saw wave wavetable when you open up Serum. This is the init preset essentially. Then one thing you can do is just EQ it a bit. So I added on this peak filter to EQ it. So I'll turn this off, and let me take off the EQ on this side. So it just sounds like this when you put on Serum. Then you can EQ it to change the shape a little bit, add some variation to the sound. And you can play around with this peak filter. To focus on the resonances that you want in the sound, or even go into something like a band filter. So that's probably the easiest way to shape the sound for this like init preset, just a saw wave sound that I've been hearing a lot in tech house. But the one that I did here, let's go back to this original one. I just put on this little peak filter here just to give it some boost around 1.2 kilohertz. Then in the effects, I was able to use the delay in Serum. I used the ping pong delay, and it's a quarter note ping pong delay. And then just took off some of that low end. Then you add on the reverb. And that's it. So that's all you got to do for that lead. Now let's go on to the bass sound. Now let's solo the bass. I have this kickstart on it, which is adding that pumping effect. Let's take that off. And there's this reverse bass that happens like that, and I'll show you how to do that. But let's go through the Serum first. So let's play this bass and the reverse bass together. Now in Serum, actually let's go into the MIDI. So this is the MIDI for the bass that I came up with. And now let's go into Serum. Voicing is on mono because it is a bass sound. Default shapes again, and envelope octaves at -2 just so I can play it on my keyboard at the lower octave. Randomness at 0. I usually do that for bass sounds. You can see I added on some release. And then from there, I shaped my envelope 2 like this. And then I just took this envelope 2 and assigned it to an MG-Low 24 filter. Just click here, drag it to your cutoff, and then adjust that modulation. The cutoff is at about 40 to 50 hertz. And you can see I changed my resonance a bit, changed the drive. And then I added on this bright white noise. So you just go into here and add on the bright white there. And it adds this like papery texture to the top end. And you can play around with this level as well. When you raise up this cutoff though, this is when you get the effect more from the sound, which I like. Which I've been hearing a lot in tech house, where you adjust that cutoff and then you have the noise coming through, and you might even do something like taking this macro and assign it to like the decay or even the release as well. And let's just take that modulation down a bit. And you're like opening up the envelopes there. So that is why I like adding on this bright white noise. It adds like a papery texture when you have the filter on, and then also you have more of that like distortion noise coming through, or that papery noise coming through when you raise up the filter, if you're like automating it throughout your track. Now let's go into the effects. Now I just added on a bit of soft clip distortion. You can see I adjusted this drive and mix. I felt like there's a bit of like redux on the sound, maybe some downsampling. So I added on this downsample. And you can hear that crunch coming through. After that, there is a bit of width to the bass. Now you can try using something like the hyperdimension. You could use Ozone Imager. I played around with this chorus, and I have this high pass filter on so that it cuts off the low end. And you just, when you load up the chorus, it has the low pass on by default. But if you do want the high pass, then all you do is just click here, and that turns it to a high pass. And that's how I was getting that width. And then I just added on a bit of EQ I was just playing around with the EQ. I feel like cutting out some frequencies, adding a dip anywhere between, starting around like 500, between like 200 and 500, just find a little spot where if you cut out some of the frequencies, then you can get a whole new like bass feeling out of the bass. And you can hear the difference there. Now, once you have that bass, what I did is I just am going to copy this onto a new track. So let's copy this onto track 10. And I played this note. That's an E flat, because that's what key this song is in. And we get that, and then I'll do Command and B, that balances it. And then all you do is just do R, and that reverses it, and then you get the reverse bass. And then you use that to fill in the space, and that's what I did here. And that reverse bass, I actually haven't heard that too much in tech house. I feel like if you were making slap house like 7 years ago, there was a lot of these like reverse basses. So I thought it was interesting that they did this in this song, because it's like this tech house groove, and I thought that it was a nice little addition to put this little reverse bass, because I haven't heard it too much in tech house, and I thought they did it like it added nicely to the bass groove.